Hello everyone, I hope you're not too down on this beautiful sunny day. I'm going to introduce my short film Incognito. I wrote and directed this film a few years ago. I'm just going to talk through the opening of it to show you the sort of level of detail that I went into in pre-production. This first shot introduces a guy, and it's not clear if we're looking at him or he's looking at somebody else, and we're sort of surveying him. That out of focus column and this building and the setting suggests mystery, and with the discordant score right away you say to yourself, what's going on, right? Buenos Aires 1960. If you want to convince people of something, write it down. If people see things written down, they believe it. Buenos Aires 1960, that's where we are. Apart from the score, you have bells, and a 1940s Argentine car, and you have a street seller, which is it's something that you don't regularly have in Spain, but in South America you have people going around selling things on the street, ice creams and such like. What the words that the guy says is agua, helados, gaseosas, sin Dios solo agua, helados, gaseosas. It's something I heard when I was in Colombia a few years ago. Water, ice creams, fizzy drinks. Without God, we are just water, ice cream, fizzy drinks. I thought that's a nice line. I'm going to have that. In this case, I got a guy from Buenos Aires to put on a stronger Buenos Aires accent, a porteño accent, than he has himself, and to record it. So it very, very strongly takes us into this place. So even for somebody who's from Buenos Aires, they're hearing this and this all sounds very convincing, okay? Now we see the word incognito, and we see a very, very different man to the first man, right? The first one's snappily dressed in a very sharp suit. This guy is dressed in nature colors, and he's scurrying along in contrast to the confidence that we saw. So right away, we're positing two characters who don't look alike, who have contrast, essentially, is the main thing you would notice about them, about everything to do with them. This guy also is behind bars, literally. And I location scouted all these places myself, everywhere that this is shot. And this is Postman's Park, which was used to a great extent, to an amazing extent, in Closer, the film. Jude Law and Natalie Portman meet at the boards in Postman's Park in London. The whole film was shot in London. That's partly why there's such a very strong emphasis, titling, sound. These close images, the detail of the costumes and everything takes you to Buenos Aires. But in this frame, there's something more than that. I chose this part partly because there's a lot of palms in it, and I thought the palms could convincingly be in Buenos Aires. But in the days before the shoot, they cut down all the palms. It's just shot in January. So what you see behind him is actually CGI. So that's a jacaranda tree, which is for anybody from Buenos Aires or anybody who's visited. The jacaranda blooms that fill every park is a major, like one of those tells, like the tram sound of Manchester. It's one of those things that immediately takes you to a place. So a guy called Gareth Parry, he's got some credits, I mean. Yeah, he's not Gareth Barry, the England footballer. No, Gareth Parry. No, he's got some serious credits. He was at Molyneux at the time, one of the top post-production houses, and I took a rough cut to them and said, look, I'm looking for a couple of bits of CGI in this. Could you do it? While he was building it, I came with the idea of having a bird in that tree, and the reason I wanted to use a bird was birds symbolize both flight, escape, freedom. Birds are used to typify a lot. They also are used as an image for incarceration, birds in cages. And they also symbolize secrets. Birds. A little bird told me. So I wanted to put a bird in the tree. I did a lot of research on this, and I came up with this bird. Now, this bird does what the other things that I said before do, that they place you in Buenos Aires, because the great kiskadee, which is what this bird is a bird that you find in urban parks, in general in South America, not just in Argentina. And it is a very distinctive looking bird, and it's a very distinctive sounding bird. But further than that, what I discovered, which is a perfect reflection of what I wanted to do, is that the great kiskadee says "bem-te-vi, bem-te-vi." That's its call all the time. And so this call for South Americans means I'm in South America, right? They recognize that as one of the sounds. Just as we recognize pigeons cooing as one of our sounds, although pigeons are everywhere, aren't they? So this bem-te-vi, it means in Portuguese, I see you well, I see you clearly. And for Spanish speakers, it also they take that Portuguese line to mean, and it also in Spanish, in some dialects, bem-te-vi sounds like I see you well. So for South Americans, I have met some who have said to me, I loved the joke with the bird. So that research paid off. That's another bit of CGI, 1950s tram, original Buenos Aires tram, correct sound and correct picture behind Jonathan Hansler there. It's a fabulous actor, Jonathan. The footsteps dubbed in, and really good sound work on this. We're about to see the guy did most of the sound work.
Buenos días.
Buenos días. Dos.
Mystery's added to with a lot of shade, a lot of dark area of image. This person's swiping across the image. We're in this dark, cavernous location, and in this case, I'm really happy with this location. It gave a lot, but I had wanted a very different type of location. I wanted an open place with pillars and marble, like you might find in a hotel coffee room. I ended up with this, which looks more like this red David Lynch dark styling rather than a Hitchcock film. Let's say that my original idea would have been to track ground pillars and whatever. This is Jordan Laughlin, who has worked on all my short films. He did the sound. He composed the song with me that you will hear in the middle of the thing, which is a vintage tango song that I wrote the words to, and he recorded in a vintage style to create the right effect. And I needed an extra, so I got him in to be the man reading El Liberal, the newspaper. Every detail of this cafe was picked. Okay, so the menu you see there for Cafe M was hand designed, and I picked that name because of the film M, which is a 1930s German expressionist film by Fritz Lang, starring Peter Lorre as a man on the run. It ties in for a whole bunch of reasons to do with Fritz Lang, who he is, what the film represented, and how history played out beyond that in Germany. So the M there is recognizable to anybody who knows the film as the M, daubed as it is in the film, which is a critical identifier of the man who is the murderer in M. So terrific film, do see it. Apart from the tango song that I wrote with Jordan, the score is by Dimitri Scarlato. He did a fantastic job. It puts you right on edge. Puts me on edge anyway when I watch it still. And the lighting, obviously, there's dark. And Dominic Ripple shot this. Somebody I've collaborated with a huge amount. And the atmospherics we're going for here is out of focus, in shade, in darkness, a lack of clarity. The symbolism for that, for Incognito, is obvious.
Do you mind English?
Not at all, Helmut. You are still Helmut?
Yes. And you, Ricardo Clement?
You do that all the time, I bet, don't you? You meet someone and you agree what language you'll speak and what your names are before you begin your conversation, don't you? I do it all the time. Actually, I've never done that. The idea is that you're intrigued, you want to know in these mysterious shots, ideas and setting and tone, that you want to know the answer to the questions. Who is this man on the run? Why are these two men who seem very different to one another? Why are they meeting? To what end? They don't seem very friendly with each other. What do they share is the question. And the film does provide the answer. I hope that you're intrigued enough to watch the rest of it and let me know what you think. Okay, thanks for watching. Click the link if you want to see the rest of the film, and you know, now I'm just going to go downstairs, put on the kettle, make a nice hot cup of coffee, and wait for all this to blow over.